Alright everyone, eve of the derby, and Ryan has dropped in for a chat. I've been on his channel too, everyone, so please check that video out. I'm sure you already have. How are things, Ryan?
Good. It's nice to be on. I feel sorry for your subscribers because I feel like this has really come to escape my channel, and sadly there is no escaping me this weekend for a derby preview. So thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
No, it's great to have you on. It's always a nice crossover and a nice a kind of reminder. There's always like a big game in the horizon. I think the last time we did it was ahead of the Hearts game. It's kind of funny because that was right at the end of the last international break, and right at the end of the last international break, and this is just before the next one. So it's been a busy few months. That seems so long ago, doesn't it?
I feel like it's always a good omen when we meet up for a video, whether it's virtually or in person, because I don't think we've been beat, but I could be ragging that. I'd have to double check.
Cup
it
semi.
feels like
Cup
set. Oh, right. You didn't have to bring that up. Let's pretend that never happened. No, it feels, you know what, honestly, this has been a weird season, hasn't it? You know, at parts it's felt like it's flying, at times it's felt like it's dragging, but it's been an enjoyable one, and hopefully this could be the icing before the cherry this weekend, the last big hurrah at Celtic Park. So let's get into it, let's get a good result, and hopefully things just go to plan.
Good stuff. Okay, we've got some stuff to cover from yesterday ahead of the big derby. Some pretty interesting stuff too. Plus, you've been sending in your thoughts, comments, patter, and more ahead of the derby. And some of it's not even to do with the derby. A few questions for Ryan that we'll get on to. First of all, though, we need to cover Ryan's appearance fee. Today's show has been created in collaboration with NordVPN, the legends who make it possible to watch your favourite content even when you're travelling. Now, I've been speaking a bit about football and me being able here in Australia, being able to, catch it's now TV Sky coverage of tomorrow's game. Chris Boyd tears, etc. Chris Sutton gloating, and I'll be able to do that thanks to NordVPN. But also even away from football and sport, and you'll probably know this, Ryan, but you can actually, even if for you in the UK, you can actually change your VPN to a different country to get different shows on Netflix and places like that. Breaking Bad, for example, is on the UK Netflix at the moment, and I'm working my way through it for the second time, but it's not on the Aussie one, so I need a VPN for that kind of thing. So do you use a VPN, Ryan?
Yes, absolutely. It is fantastic. It has become a lifesaver in the Fitzsimons household. I'm a big US sports fan, so you can imagine it comes in handy.
Great stuff. They've got a special birthday deal still on at the moment. You click the link in the description. You'll get up to 72% off NordVPN's 2 years plans and 6 months free. Plenty of you have been getting involved there. So, great stuff. NordVPN, great people. Brendan Rodgers, great person. Team news-wise, he was speaking yesterday. Team news-wise, he'll make a decision on Callum McGregor today. There's a calf issue going on there. More on that in a second. Other players, James Forrest is back in the squad. Praise the Lord. The most underrated player in modern Celtic history, James Forrest. I'm going to get pelters for that, but I do believe it, and it's not just because he's from the same town as me. Paulo Bernardo.
Is that the Prestwick home love coming out there?
A lovely guy, James Forrest. The nicest guy you'll ever meet. So humble as well. Paulo Bernardo still a bit away. He's not going to feature this weekend. Liam Scales, well documented to get an issue with his cheekbone. Waiting to see if he needs surgery there, so he's not going to play this weekend either. Just on Callum McGregor, he's quoted as saying, "You will have noticed that I wasn't there with the group today, so I'm just trying to step it up and did a bit of individual work with the physio guys today, and hopefully no reaction, and then hopefully I'll be good to train tomorrow, and then if I can train tomorrow, then I'll be fit. I think this is why we're given every chance and trying to leave it as long as we can to be out on the pitch and get yourself ready. It's been a tough week, but I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure that I'm available for the group." I still think he'll make it, but if he doesn't make it, Ryan, what are we doing?
Well, if he doesn't make it, it's obviously a bit of an issue. Losing your captain isn't ideal going into Derby Day, but what I will say is Celtic are too good of a football team to let it affect them to the point where we are on the... I just don't see it causing any faults in our game. I think that we have enough quality amongst Arne Engels, Rio Hatate and presumably Luke McCowan to make up for Callum McGregor's loss. I would assume that Arne Engels will drop into that role McGregor normally plays, and we've seen Brendan Rodgers experiment with that in the last few weeks in the kind of closing stages of games. He's an incredible footballer, and I'm sure he'll be fine against Rangers doing that job. Bringing Luke McCowan in could be a good option for Celtic. Of course, he has that kind of fire in him to do something in these sorts of games. So, yeah, listen, I think that McGregor will make it, as you said. And if Brendan Rodgers thinks he's fine to start, then I trust the manager's opinion. But, yeah, Hatate, McCowan, they both have quality moving forward. Engels, the defensive work, could be a bit of a test for him. Of course, he's not used to doing the same job McGregor does, but I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine if he needs to do it.
Engels has never started a derby yet. He's been on the the bench for the first 3 of the season, so big one for him as well. I just think he might be really well suited to this fixture from the start. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing Arne Engels. Like, he's got legs, he kind of gets stuck in, doesn't he? Pops up everywhere. A bit like Alistair Johnson was just a perfect fit for this fixture. I think Engels could be as well.
And I think that if you go back and watch that January derby game, we spoke about this on my video in the kind of 2-parter. The midfield was one of the, let's just say, most problematic areas on that day, and I couldn't help but think that Arne Engels could have brought a lot more into that game, maybe that calmness we needed in the middle of the park, and certainly the quality we maybe needed just to bring the game back to our side. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him start the game. It feels like a long time ago, that first derby when he just arrived, didn't it? So he's came a long way, and I hope he gives us a belter of a shift on Sunday.
Yeah, we've covered the team in the last couple of videos, I think, so we don't massively need to do that. But I've not met one person who's thrown in a Yang or an Ida or anyone like that. I think we all know the team that should start and the team that Brendan Rodgers will go for, assuming Callum McGregor is fit. Interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers on Rangers that people are picking up on. He says, if I look purely at the coaching aspect of it over the course of 4 games, I don't see great change. I see the team go 2-0 down against Kilmarnock and come back and win. I see the team lose at home to Motherwell. I see the team go away and get a fantastic result at Fenerbahce. And then I see the team lose last night 2-0 over 90 minutes, but win the tie. Like, kind of everything Brendan Rodgers says has a meaning behind it. Why didn't he just look at it and say, yeah, Rangers are kind of, the usual stuff he would say, Barry Ferguson's come in, and even if it's not strictly true, he could say, he's had an effect, got them through that tie, etc. He said that for a reason, and I'm trying to work out why. The kind of cynic in me is going, we spoke in your channel a bit about Rangers being fired up for this game and potentially coming out kicking, which I think we'll see. Part of me is just wondering if he's just trying to kind of light a wee thing under them and just kind of get that in the team talk. Brendan Rodgers has said this and kind of having a wee bit of a dig at you for losing to Motherwell and going 2-0 down to Killie. Go out and show them, and then maybe you get an even more aggressive Rangers, and that maybe plays into our hands, because he's all about control in these fixtures. So have you got any other thoughts on why he said that? He might have just fancied a wee bam up as well.
Well, we all know one thing for certain, that Brendan Rodgers is not a liar. When has Brendan Rodgers ever lied, Hamish? Look, listen, the way that I worded it in the last video is how I'll stick to it here, but Brendan Rodgers said is nothing short of the truth. I mean, he's assessed the situation that Rangers are in, and it's just the truth. They have been inconsistent. They have been a side that have showed the problems are still there, and Barry Ferguson is still very early days into his coaching career. Brendan Rodgers touched on that. It needs a longer period of time to assess Barry Ferguson. I think it's all just about expectation on their side. They've got that result on Thursday, which has sent them into this thinking they're the Govan Globetrotters again. Of course, if they had a chance of winning the Scottish Cup, they'd be all up for winning that. If the gap was still catchable, they'd be up for winning the league. And Barry Ferguson will be no doubt a shout for the Rangers job in the summer, so their expectations are through the roof. But for us, our expectations is winning. And the fact of the matter is, no matter what picture you try and paint, Celtic should be winning this game. It's not a disaster if we don't win the game. By no means. We're still a very healthy amount of points clear, but we should be winning this game, and I think Brendan Rodgers is just telling the truth in all of his comments.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of winning the treble, this game isn't important. This game isn't going to determine. We're going to have the same amount of chance of winning the treble whether we win this or lose 10-0. But it's about kind of something different, isn't it? It's about just reasserting our dominance, and I don't really feel we massively have to do it. It's not a is it natural order restored, all that nonsense. It's not that kind of thing, because we're still winning every trophy virtually we go for. We're still winning virtually every derby we play against them, apart from January. So it doesn't feel like one of those, like, you know, the second, was it the one in February under Ange's first season, and that felt like a kind of swinging moment. This just feels like an opportunity for Celtic just to reassert a bit of dominance over them and batter them.
This is like an opportunity for Celtic to rub salt in the wound, is what it is. And it would come at a very... I think this could be one of the more hilarious opportunities to do it, just because they're off the back of that momentous European result. They're already banging the Barry Ferguson's won more European knockout ties than Brendan Rodgers' drum. So what a way to bring them back down to earth if we were to put 3, 4, 5 past them on Sunday. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I would love to see Brendan Rodgers go, okay, let's take no prisoners, leave nothing on the table and bury them, because that's what this quality of Celtic side should be doing.
Yeah, I think we might see that. Hopefully we do. No tifo from the North Curve tomorrow. There was a statement from the Green Brigade that was pretty forthright, as often is the case from the Green Brigade. I'm not going to read it all. I'll stick it on screen for people so they can pause it or whatever and have a quick read. But basically they're saying that there'll be no tifo ahead of the match. That's due to the Celtic board. I think Celtic had put a statement up recently, I think last week, talking about recent tifos and displays that maybe hadn't gone through the correct process and been approved by the club, etc. So yeah, people obviously have their thoughts in this. I just think it's a bit disappointing all in that this continues to go on when the team's doing so well. We're in such a joyous place that we really couldn't be in much of a better place, yet there just is always this undercurrent of disagreement there. So and yeah, the atmosphere's still going to be amazing at the game. It's not going to change that. In a weird way, it might almost make the atmosphere better, but yeah, I quite enjoy a pre-derby tifo, so we're not going to get that.
You think of so many of those big derby results with some great tifos, especially over the last couple of years. They've done a really good job, and obviously it's self-funded. It's not like the club hand out any money to help with them. So yeah, it's a shame that we won't see it this weekend, and I understand why. I don't agree with why, but I understand why. And as you said, atmosphere. It's all about raising the volume in the stadium, challenging the Rangers fans who will be present, and
for the first half.
Yeah, for the first half, and watching them pile out hopefully as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's going to be a lovely element of tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, so no tifo. We'll wait and see in Callum McGregor. Brendan Rodgers winding Rangers up a bit. That's basically your news roundup. Some comments just on the game as well, because I did ask for them. TJ17 Lindy, looking forward to this one. Slightly upset about the Green Brigade announcement, but the atmosphere will still be electric, hopefully, as will Celtic, with Ferguson leading his troops into the Gangnam Style Macarena slosh, etc. A few of them will miss the game, as he said in his press conference, but we shall focus on ourselves. I'm confident the big players will step up. That is a must, especially after January. We have to be up for the physical battle. And then there's a wee comment about us I'm not going to read out. YouTube royalty, etc. Barry Ferguson has admitted 1 or 2 Rangers players are facing a possible race to be fit for this one. He didn't name who it was, though. He's been quite cryptic. So yeah, they might miss some players. What's the Gangnam Style Macarena slosh?
I was going to say, I feel like I was lost as soon as you started bringing up the Gangnam Style and the Macarena.
But yeah, Canadian barn dance type thing. Like they'll be all over the place, and we'll be taking them apart. Hopefully that's the case.
Listen, they went the whole way, didn't they? They went the 120 minutes. So, but I remember looking back on that, we brought it up at this one of the videos. I can't remember whose video it was now. Remember that Hampden game? It went to extra time. Oh, we'll be the ones benefiting here. And then bang, we saw what happened. So you can't get too naive about it. Hopefully we're long gone before we need to think about minutes and legs coming into it. But aye.
Yeah, I mean that game. Just to reiterate, they went to extra time against Braga, and then we played them on the Sunday, and even that game went to extra time. So they'd played 240 minutes plus in the space of, again, it'd be Thursday to Sunday, and they looked fitter than as they were the team that finished.
What I'll say in response to that is, I think that's night and day, that Rangers side from this side, not in terms of quality, but from their fitness as well.
Are we stronger as well? Probably.
Of course we are, I would say. But when you look back on that game on Thursday, I don't know if you caught any of it, Hamish, but I caught the last sort of half hour and then extra time. Rangers looked dead. They looked so out of it, and that was before the final, the 90th minute whistle went. So I just think they're night and day from that side back then, who were a really fit team with the amount of football they were playing.
Yeah, I've said this to a few people, that's kind of the most worried I've been about a Rangers team in the last good number of years. I think that team under Van Bronckhorst, they were on the way to the Europa League final. I think that was actually a pretty good Rangers team that you saw with some of the teams they beat. I mean, not to make this bloody Rangers AM, but they should have stuck with Van Bronckhorst. He's the best manager they've had.
Quality wise, fitness wise,
yeah,
quality, fitness, and tactically, they were a better team. Yeah. But listen, I'm here to laugh at their mistakes, and if that's one of them is sacking Gio, then hail.
Great stuff. Okay, Aidan, am I the only person that has felt more up for the European games than the derbies this year? It's the first season I've ever felt this way. Probably says more about where the two clubs are right now. I totally agree with you, Aidan. The first derby of the season, actually, I remember thinking in the lead up to the Slovan Bratislava game, I found the Slovan Bratislava game more enjoyable. The build up to me was bigger, the aftermath was bigger. I don't know exactly what it says, because Celtic Rangers games are always going to be big, but the Champions League for me is that's the be all and the end all right now for Celtic. That's what gives me the real buzz. I mean, that Bayern Munich tie, that felt more exciting to me than any derby we've had this season.
There'll be Rangers fans who are desperate to say that I'm lying when I say this, and I'm not. I mean this truthfully. I don't feel any form of nerves about a league derby game. I don't feel any form of nerves. The only time I feel nerves is when the first whistle goes, and then they very quickly go away when Celtic usually get the upper hand quite early on. So I've been lucky enough this year to go to a couple of the European games away from home. I was in Zagreb, I was in Munich, and I was at every one at Celtic Park. And the few days even leading up to those games, I was far more excited, far more nervous, and just had far more emotion connected to the game than I do with this game tomorrow, with the derby in January, with the derby in September. And a big part of that probably comes down to Rangers just being hopeless. And I know they'll go, we beat us 3-0, we can't be that hopeless, but going into that game I wasn't expecting that, so it just doesn't really bother me too much.
The Champions League stuff, even the fact the games are at night, just they make such a difference. Okay, so I agree with you, and I think a lot of people will as well. T-Boy, Raskin getting a call up and Engels not getting one is criminal. Green tinted glasses aside, not a single team or personal stat would suggest Raskin over Engels. A man who played unreal in the Champions League, I may add. Mm-hmm. Well, each to their own, I suppose. Now let's see if it lights a fire in Arnie. It's a weird one, that, isn't it?
So my question was, is there anything on the line in these games for Belgium? Are they any games of significance? Like, is it just friendlies? The thing that my first thought was, if this was World Cup qualifying matches, I don't think it would be the same. I genuinely do believe, this isn't me trying to cope, but I genuinely do believe that Engels would find himself in the squad.
So it's a Nations League promotion relegation playoff against Ukraine, so I think that would be to get her to stay in the top league.
Aye. Listen, it benefits Celtic. There's no chance of him going away and getting injured. It's a gutter for him personally, because you always want to be in your national team. I understand that, but I suspect we'll see him back in there in the next year or so. It's not a huge deal, but the fact that Raskin's making it in, listen, the less said the better, but they'll realise the quality they're missing out on when Engels not at the training ground next week.
Yes, Lewis Kennedy, in the loss at the start of 2025, we struggled to break their four-man press because we were uncharacteristically slack with our passing. Play kept breaking down between first and second phase of the pitch, leading to Rangers chance creation. Everyone needs to be sharp and quick when playing through their press and breaking the lines. Again, people speak about, Philippe Clement having potentially worked Brendan Rodgers out. They said that after Ibrox, after the cup final. The big thing for me, quite simply, Celtic need to play better than we did at Ibrox. If we play better, Rangers will struggle to deal with us. We've got Santiago Gutierrez Serna. He's got a wee kind of Eagles badge in his profile.
Go Birds.
As well.
Go Birds, baby. Love that.
Do you know this guy?
I can't say I do. I don't know a name though. Maybe if I seen the profile in front of me, I would recognise it. But I can't say I do.
He doesn't. Ryan118 doesn't even know his fans. Terrible. You wouldn't get that from me, not at all. Right, he's saying, what is the best derby you have ever experienced?
Oh wow! So I done a full video dedicated to this the other day, and I changed my mind like the weather, because I love so many of them. The personal connection I have to Dembele's arrival, that was my first derby. Dembele is probably my favourite player in recent times. The 5-0 where we win the league, the 3-0 where it was the pendulum swing and Ange Postecoglou's team really clicking. It's between those three. If I was to choose on the spot, I said it, I think I go with a 5-0, mate. There's something about that game, winning the title in front of your rivals and the Lustig police hat celebrations, and I know the 3-0 is so significant, and in terms of significance, I think that game probably comes out on top, but just from a personal point of view, I don't see how it gets any better than beating them 5-0 to win the league.
I think it's such an underrated game. I was actually watching Kieran Tierney's open goal interview earlier in the week, and he spoke about that, and he said for him it's the most underrated game ever. You beat our rivals 5-0 to win the league.
It's just because it comes in such a flurry of games, doesn't it? Like we beat them 5-1 not too long before that. You beat them 5-1 at Ibrox, and you've got the 4-0 at Hampden. It's just in that flurry. Sorry to cut you off, but I think that's maybe the reason for it, you know?
I think the thing I would say is, would we have won the league that season without that 5-0 game? Yes, 100% we would have. Would we won the league Ange's first season without the 3-0 game? I think quite possibly not. Maybe we would have come back, but I know Ange himself spoke about that as being just a major moment in the season. So I would go 3-0 game. 3-2 win at Ibrox would be up there as well. I was there that day.
Of course,
unbelievable day. Highs and lows of that game. I loved the 3-0 game in 2011, February the 20th, 2011.
I was going to ask, I was going to ask you to throw out one from my youth, because one of my favourites ever, and I mentioned this on the podcast last week, I think it was, one of my favourites ever, and it always will remain, is the 2008 Jan Vennegoor Hesselink, in that time period where it looked as though we were out, and then we got a good run of results, beat them a couple of times, but that game specifically, the 2-1, oh man, what a day that was. And I was 8 at the time, but it's like core memory.
That was amazing. Actually, it's weird, I don't remember much about that game, but I remember the game a few weeks later, the 3-2 game, much better. I can remember Aidan McGeady's kind of deflected goal just before half-time to make it 2-2. I remember Barry Robson's penalty. I remember, was it Ian Murray or someone? Not Ian Murray. Who was it got sent off late in that game for Rangers? Whittaker, was it? Or God knows. But it
was either, was it no Whittaker or Broadfoot? One of the two. I cannot remember, to be honest. It's been a long time since I've watched highlights of that game that I genuinely can't remember who it is. That was great though. Okay, Hail Paradise. This is when we move on to the non-football stuff, so we'll do this quickly. If you're nice.
If you're not wanting any non-football chat,
no, I love the
head
non-football
off.
chat.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the viewer. If you don't want this, head off. I'll catch you after the game Monday morning. In fact, no, it's shortly after full time on Sunday. Stevie's going to be with me. Anyway, for the rest of you, Hail Paradise. Stealing this from another podcast, but what's your death row 3-course meal, you and Ryan? I do this quite often with my pals, actually. It's from kind of open goal, isn't it? So do you want to take it away, or do you want a wee bit of thinking time?
Oh, right. If you've got one in your head, I recommend you go first.
Not just my head, it's written down as well. So starter, I'm going between Gambus Pil, which I love, or calamari. I'm probably going to...
What now? A Gambus what?
You know, like the prawns and the kind of with the kind of chilies.
I love
and
prawns,
garlic,
but I've genuinely never heard of...
You've heard of a Gambus or prawn Pil or whatever they call it. It's kind of Spanish thing.
I just know prawn cocktail, mate.
It's very different. Well, it kind of is similar to that in terms of being prawn, but it's it's big juicy prawns and, as I say, garlic and chili and what else is in there? Just loads of nice spice and love that. But I'm actually calamari as well. Calamari would potentially be what I went for as my start, and I had great calamari last week. Main, I'm going a steak, probably a T-bone steak, something like that. A nice wee truffle mac and cheese on the side. Do you like the sound of that? I've gone through a phase of loving truffle.
Middle class here, aren't I, baby? Oh, jeez, oh. Like our family's not getting a look in after this.
No, I'm loving truffle mac and cheese on the side, maybe some chips or something like that, and then I'm going sticky toffee pudding dessert. Can't beat it. Loads of sauce. So
I've had a think, and we couldn't be any different if we tried. I've got a very different perception on my last meal, right? So I'll talk you through it quickly. For starters, I don't know where from, just as long as they're good, I don't really care. I just want wings. Nice barbecue like wings. You know, that's my starter, like just slathered in barbecue sauce. Maybe a wee ranch dip or something on the side. That's what I have my starter. But this is where it gets different, right? I've never seen the point in going for this big fancy meal on the way out. I just want something that I have been comfortable with my whole life. So I've always said for my last main course I would have a Big Mac meal with a 20 nugget chicken share box.
Big Mac. Oh, Ryan.
What's wrong with that?
I was actually going to interrupt you and go, I bet you're going to say Big Mac here, and you actually went for it.
I love a Big Mac, and I just, you know what, I just don't see the sense in me having a steak or some sort of whatever. This is my last meal, and what's
McFlurry through my life for your dessert?
No, not McFlurry. No, so I'd have the Big Mac meal, my 20 chicken nugget share box, right? But for my dessert, I'd probably just go for like. No, I'm not crushing, man. Maybe like chocolate fudge cake with like whipped cream or something like that. I'm a big cake guy. I love cheesecake, so as long as they throw a cake at me, mate, I'm not that bothered.
Nice kind of Biscoff cheesecake, something like that.
Oh yes,
beautiful.
Oh yes.
Okay, you maybe redeemed yourself a little bit there with your main. Okay, Regan Craig, what margin of victory is required for Ryan to go clean shaven?
Oh, 10. At least 10. Listen, I made a vow. The last time I shaved this off was when I dressed up as Walter White for Halloween. And I went to the goatee, and then the next day I had to get rid of it. Never again. That's it. No, 10 goals.
2 Breaking Bad references in one show. Hacksaw, if Ryan was sat... This one means nothing to me. If Ryan was sat front row in an Eagles game, does he think he could throw a snowball far enough to hit Santa if Santa was on the field of play?
No, I'll just be brutally honest. No, because I used to see me play dodgeball in school. Hamish, I do not have a powerful swing in me. So no, I think I'd fail miserably.
Okay, glad you've been honest there. Right, okay, you're off to the game. You must be really looking forward to it. I hope you have a good one.
Well, do you know what? Just to say, round things off, fun fact, this is my first derby of the season because I was in Berlin for the 3-0 game. I missed that. I was away to see Paul McCartney for the cup final, even though I was balloted, so I had to give away my ticket for that. So this is my first time there this season. So a very strange feeling being in March and going to your first derby game, but my luck at Celtic Park has been pretty decent over the years, so let's hope that continues, Hamish.
Yes. Let's hope that's the case. As I say, I'll be on Ryan's channel as well. Definitely check Ryan118. You'll all know of him. Subscribe to him if you haven't done it already. Things are going very well. Then we'll catch up with you soon, Ryan.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being on again, and hopefully we'll see you celebrating the title sometime soon.
Yes, definitely. Okay, I think the plan tomorrow... I actually have a message from Stevie this morning I've not replied to, talking about the plans post-match. And he might be at the pub potentially with a pint in front of him. So that's when I'm going to chat to Stevie, hopefully. But I'm going to try and put that video out as soon as possible after full time tomorrow. So yeah, we'll catch you then. Enjoy the game, everyone. Come on, Celtic.